Welcome everyone to the Tellor Core Call, June 23rd, 2020. We got the whole team here, as you guys can see. Yeah, it's been a super exciting week. I'm sure you guys all saw the price action, which is why I'm sure a lot of you guys are here. Yeah, I mean it's been fun. So, muting some of you guys. Anyway, try and stay on mute if you're not contributing to the conversation. Anyway, I'll go over some quick updates on some things, and then we can just start talking. So first off, the big news that I've been mentioning for the past month now and posting on every channel, if you are a miner, there's many of you nowadays, but make sure you upgrade your miner. We're upgrading, we're getting some new data points that we're going to be able to support. And that starts Thursday night at 8 p.m. So everybody pay attention. If the network freezes or something like that, ping me. I'll be watching for sure, but everything looks good. We've contacted people personally, and it should be an exciting upgrade. So we're looking forward to that. It's kind of our first big minor hard fork. And then we'll be moving things onward from there, building a better miner. As far as dev stuff that we've been working on, so probably for the past week, probably 2 weeks now, I've been really heads down building the V2 stuff. So we're planning on sending out the V2 code come July 1st. So we're just hitting it with a bunch of tests, writing it, making sure it works, and then we're going to send it off to CertTic for first few weeks of July, test it some more in Rinkbeat the last few weeks, and then get it up sometime in August live. It's looking like everything should work. And yeah, that should 10x the speed in the network, which is going to be super exciting. So yeah, very, very excited about that. Other things that we have to do. So just kind of what else we've been working on. We're continuing. So you remember we had the Raid Guild guys on here to show off the price viewer and the dispute center. They're continuing work to make those tools better for you guys. And we're also working on making some other good pieces. So if you guys remember, we're also taking part in the Chain Runner hackathon. So the Chain Runner, it's a ETH India based hackathon. And we got some people building on Tellor in it. So it's super cool, kind of answering their questions, showing them how Tellor works, and we're getting some cool ideas. So we'll let you know kind of whenever that's over and who wins that one. Maybe we can show off a little demo here if it's any good. Other things, this Friday, as part of that Chain Runner hackathon, I'll be taking part in the Matic masterclass speaker series. Basically, I get to give a speech for a half hour, and then you guys can ask me some questions. But the speech is on cryptocurrencies and censorship-resistant technologies in developing nations. So it has absolutely nothing to do with Tellor. But that said, it's kind of a super fun one for me because I get to do more of an economics rant, kind of a revolutionary economics rant. So it should be fun.
Yeah, they wanted something geared towards the Indian audience, and we knew he was up to the task to come up with something to rant about in developing economies.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. We'll send out the link when we get it, and we'll definitely send out the video too.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. Other things we're doing? You want to do those two? Or
go ahead. You could
Not
give
really.
more justice to these things than I have. Well, I don't know if we publicly talked about the BiddleHub thing.
Yeah, so we're working with BiddleHub. If you guys saw that, they kind of pushed the announcement. BiddleHub's doing some stuff for us. So what they do is they provide a service for some of our users and us. So if you want to make sure that your data is getting requested on the network, they partnered with us where they'll actually run that service for you. So for instance, let's say you query the price of, you need the price of DAI US dollar. every single day in your contract. They'll make sure that the price stays updated for you. And say you need the Bitcoin US dollar only if the price changes by 1%. They can manage that service for you. So it was cool getting that set up, and it should make, because if you know, different projects have different sort of technical needs when it comes to that. So some say like, hey, if the price moves by 0.25%, or some say we need the price updated every day, or if it moves by 10%. And with BiddleHub, they built something that fits Tellor very nicely, where you can set those parameters and easily get it set up, and it sends you a nice email whenever it requests the data. So we're excited about that one.
Yeah, they're called event flows.
Event flows. Yes.
Yeah, so like if we wanted to have, like right now, we don't have a bunch of users constantly adding tips and updating these prices. You can create a flow that can detect price movement of an asset and automatically tip the miners to go and fetch so that we get an updated price. So if Bitcoin had a big movement that day, it'd be nice to have our Tellor feed have a nice updated Bitcoin price, and the event flow can create an automation for that process. So it's really cool. I definitely encourage everybody in our community that's kind of into these sort of automation things to check out BiddleHub, because there's some cool things you can do. You can set up automations to do stuff in Discord and Telegram. I don't know too much about them, but I know that there's some cool things that you guys could maybe do as a community, as a part of the Tellor community. So check them out.
Yeah. So I think that's about
it.
Yeah, so that's about it for these announcements. So we're coming up on the holiday 4th of July next week, so that'll be fun. Hopefully you guys all enjoy your holidays. And
yeah, we might be a little bit more quiet next week, but we'll be checking in for sure.
Yeah, we're just, Brenda and I are going to finish the V2 thing. That's really important. And then we're working on some other things as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Now we can start kind of answering your questions. Mike.
Any in the chat?
And Brenda, I don't know if you want to come over and join us. So somebody requested that Brenda shows up to the calls. So today we'll make Brenda show up to the calls and start answering some of these questions with us as well.
So now you have to.
Now you have to. So, and somebody asked in the main chat, so they said, they're like, why doesn't Brenda ever do these calls since she's the CEO? And the answer, to be honest, is just that these were my calls. These were originally miner calls. So we would do these tech calls, and I would just basically be talking to the developers, and then they morphed into something more. So
we've stolen them.
So these two guys are stealing it from me. So yes,
we're decentralizing the call.
Yeah. So that's why she's not necessarily on the call. But anyway, Mike.
All right. So question number 1 is, what's Tellor's business model? I think we should ask the audience here, but I'm sure you guys are going to answer really that quickly in the chat. But everybody should know that we have a dev share model. We take a 10% dev share, and that's how we fund development of Tellor. Are you guys planning to upgrade the Tellor website? It really needs a makeover. Yes, we do. I think it's a timely question at the moment because we're just starting the process to get that done. We really want to line it up. I think it makes sense to line it up with V2. So yeah, I mean, we're still on target with our V2, and I think a month to update a website is a good amount of time to put towards that. So yeah, we're totally excited to do that. We need a bit of a facelift. Thanks for noticing. Next one is, hey guys, good marketing plays a key role in paving a way to success. I'm looking to better understand your marketing goals and strategies. Also, are you looking into increasing your online footprint via press coverage? Thanks for your time. All the best. I mean, I could take a stab at it. Anybody else want to take a stab at this?
Brenda.
I mean, so like, We could all chime in a little bit if I miss a point. I answer this question a lot, so sometimes I forget some of the details. But the biggest marketing event that we could do is actually getting usage. I think everything comes from that. All press coverage comes from that. All hype would come from that. A lot of the coverage we want to get, like the really high quality influencers. I'm not talking about shillers or those people influence. I get it, but the people in Ethereum, the who's who, to really get to the point where they want to have us on their podcasts or really take us seriously as part of the in crowd of Ethereum, is having usage. And as soon as we cross that barrier, then a lot more opens up for us, and it'll come to us. So we really want to focus on that first, not so much marketing to get more hodlers or whatever. Not that that isn't important as well. So how do you do that? Direct outreach. We are constantly in communication and checking in and not being pests to these companies, but being accessible and being supportive of them implementing Tellor. And so we've done a lot of that, and we're continuing to do that. And new projects come around, and a lot of you guys do a really good job of giving us leads. So we act on those. Who's talking? So I think I covered. The goal is to get a user, and through that,
that's the best marketing.
Yes, exactly.
Get a user, get somebody paying for our data.
The other prong is education. We want to become thought leaders in this space, and so we're always constantly looking towards getting Nick or Brenda or I out in front of an audience on a podcast or at an event, a conference, a virtual conference, and showing that we are leaders in the space, and we can sort of try to influence the space moving towards censorship resistance and decentralization and slower, more secure feeds and those kind of things. Because it's important. If the space goes in the wrong direction, then they're just gonna use centralized services and no one will care about us. So we have to try to steer this whole ship as well. So yeah, I think that's our main sort of strategy. Okay, good. All righty. Could Tellor be used to construct a Bitcoin ETF?
Yeah, well, I mean, so ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. So usually it's like, you would have like a mutual fund that you then trade on an exchange or something like that, or
if it would
usually what they tend to refer to are just basically synthetics that you trade differently. So can Tellor be used to create a synthetic Bitcoin?
Yes,
definitely. That's actually one of its original goals.
Yeah. Or like a crypto that's its own thing that is tracking a group of cryptos, like a crypto index.
Yeah.
You would need an oracle to sort of track that price, theoretically. Why is decentralization important?
Brandon?
Yeah. In one sentence.
He can rant forever on this subject.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. I mean,
what's your one-word answer?
Censorship resistance.
Okay, that's 2 words. It's a hyphen, I guess. Hyphen.
Yeah.
Okay. Technicality.
No, I mean, it's not necessarily important for a lot of things, but if you're talking about like why you're building on Ethereum in general, it's super important. Or like, why is crypto relevant? That's decentralization and censorship resistance. It's not, like obviously you can build other companies, but if like, why are you in the space? Decentralization is important. Where if you're building a derivative on Ethereum, you want it to be decentralized, or else you don't want to use Ethereum. Like go just build a derivative in the normal world. Why are you trying to do this? The answer is you're probably trying to get around KYC, AML laws, and some sort of onerous regulations by the CFTC to do a derivative, and you can experiment with it a little bit. So that's why we're doing these things. So sort of you need to be censorship resistant if you're actually going to survive and have something meaningful to deliver to the space. So
Here. Yeah, and usually those people making the laws are a central entity.
yeah.
Hence the name. Next is if the graph breaks or goes down, how would that affect Tellor? Are they a single point of failure? How much redundancy do they have on their end? So I think this person thinks, they must think that the graph.
Yeah, so the graph, they host, they parse Ethereum data and then host it. So like, they'll index a bunch of things by events for you, and they make it faster to query rather than having to run a node yourself and access it. And it makes our website faster. So if you look at the Tellor Price Viewer or the Tellor Dispute Center, they run off of the graph and it makes it faster. That said, it's just front-end tools. So
Right. It doesn't affect actually Tellor. Tellor runs with the miner. So
Yeah. It's not the price feed. It's like the website for the price feed. So if that goes down, it would be annoying, but our price feed would still work. Our users would still get their updates. It'd be all good.
Like we could replace them relatively quickly. It would just be, it would kind of be like our Tellor website going down. So it's not a big deal.
Do you have any contact with potential big clients? Definitely. We have contact with all of them. And
contact.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in contact. We have
6 feet apart, of course.
Yes, exactly.
So.
breaking the rules here.
Crypto's a contact sport. Yes, we do. That's like our main. That's our main thing, is to get those contacts and to get introductions and have a call and have something established, and even if there's just a small potential in something, it's just good to have relationships with as many of these projects as we can, and we've met a lot of them too in person. So, are oracles a 0 to 1 innovation? Now, I haven't read this book, so I can't answer that. I don't know. Brenda, I think you might be reading this book.
I read it a long time ago.
Or read it a long time ago. Yeah. I have not.
Yeah, so 0 to 1, that's Peter Thiel. He was talking about how whenever you want your new company, you want it to be 0 to 1. So like, I think, what's a good example of 0 to 1? I mean, he was like PayPal or Facebook were his two big invests. So like you create a whole new industry. So like you create social media as an industry, or you create, website searches as an industry. You're not really competing. So, like restaurants are the perfect example of not a 0 to 1 innovation. There's a ton of competition already out there.
So like a Google.
You want to go into something without any competition. And obviously oracles aren't necessarily a true 0 to 1 innovation. We're more solving a problem that's known. We're solving
we're
an
a
issue for the
fraction.
space. Yeah. So I don't think it's an innovation in and of itself. I think like, maybe like some of the financial products that could be created with DeFi are more of the 0 to 1 innovations. Or once oracles are a thing, then they can be the 0 to 1 innovation that really takes off, and we're sort of piggybacking on their success.
Cool. But still, it's good to be a part of a 0 to 1 industry. And which we are. Next one, and this was a really interesting one. What do your parents do?
I don't know. What do your parents do?
What's that kindergarten cop? Who is your daddy and what does he do? Arnold Schwarzenegger, anybody? It was a terrible impression. Anyway, move on.
My mom has a business in alterations.
Very nice. So if I need to get my jeans taken in.
Didn't they used to own a restaurant?
Too.
Yeah.
Restaurateurs.
Entrepreneurs.
See, I see where she gets it.
So my dad is an airline pilot.
It's pretty freaking cool.
And my mom owns a horse barn.
Captain Fett?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. My mom doesn't do anything other than take care of my dad now that he's retired. Not that my dad needs taken care of, but he's retired right now and basically just hangs out all day. I'm very jealous. Before that, he did he did business development for in the IT industry, the federal government.
All right.
Yep. All right. Do you have a favorite philosopher? My favorite philosopher is the dude. I'm gonna leave it there.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I don't know if it's my favorite. This is the last one I read. It's Stoic philosophy. Can you guys pronounce that?
I can't read.
Epictetus?
I don't know if I can read your
He
handwriting.
must be Greek or Epictetus.
Anyway, yeah.
His
So,
philosophy was to write really fast.
well, that's like, I think Stoicism was sort of in contrast to like what Epicureanism, which was you want to sort of enjoy life. So you were the anti-life enjoyer.
No,
Stoicism was very
I
strict.
don't know if it's my favorite, but that's the last one that I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I was, as far as philosophers go, I mean, you go through a whole bunch of different ones. So like, I just,
Is Vitalik a philosopher?
I failed philosophy class.
I mean,
yeah. So no, I mean, there's a lot of philosophers that I would like, you know, even if you go back to like Socrates and things like that, almost of the philosophers I like it's almost just because of stories about their life more so than, you know, like, or like Seneca is one of my favorites. Like he actually, whenever like he was like sentenced to death, like they accused him of cheating on his with the queen or whatever, and he was sentenced to death, and he like requested that he could drink hemlock like Socrates, and then he like it like didn't kill him, so he like kept drinking and ended up having to kill himself a different way. But it's like such a champ, but because, you know, he was like, and his whole thing was like, you just want to make, even if like life sucks, you can make good, just try and make the best of it. And you know, that's like what I got from him a lot. So
that's a good one.
He was someone that sort of, as far as like ancient philosophers go.
Yeah. Confucius.
Yeah.
I like Confucius.
And then obviously you guys have seen my infinite jest on my David Foster Wallace. He's one of my more famous modern philosophers. Yeah, he has a lot of talks out there. You guys should look up. So anyway.
We would love to hear from you what your favorite. You obviously must have a favorite, whoever this is.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Yeah. What are you guys going to do to increase adoption? I think
we just talked.
We totally covered that. Do you have any pets? Yes, I have a dog. He's a dachshund named Henry, and he's 8 years old, and he barks at everything, and he won't stop licking my legs at night. It's really annoying.
But you love him.
But I love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have 2 cats. So.
What are their names?
Yeah.
They have names.
Yeah, I have Ludwig, after Ludwig von Mises. Was back during my Austrian economist.
These are great details. And then, they're craving these details.
And then I have Eliza, which is after Eliza Doolittle from My Fair Lady.
Ah, good movie.
And I have a Jack Russell, Charlie. That was his name when I got him. So he just kept it. He's a barker too. And yeah.
Charlie and Henry got along though.
Yeah.
How old is everyone on the team?
You can pass.
Pass?
We're in our 30s.
Okay, you want to keep it a secret? Fine. What happened to F2 pool? Do you want to elaborate on the technical issues they were having? I mean,
I don't know. You guys should ask them. Push
them
to start back up again. So I know they were having some technical issues with something, and then they get dropped off. So a lot of people have been asking lately about the miner centralization pieces of it, and we've sort of addressed it. We don't pay too much attention to the miners. We know they're an important part in our system, but to be honest, who they are or how many it's not of the most importance to our protocol. As long as somebody's running it and submitting data, and somebody can run it and submit data, it sort of works. So even we spin them up and we have them running on the side. So since there's the dispute mechanism available, it's not like a normal proof of work protocol where even if you just have one miner, they control your system. The disputers are actually in control of the system. The miners are just sort of there providing a service. But yeah, F2 pool, they took a long time to launch, and then it was like a soft launch. And yeah, so hopefully they get back on board soon.
Yeah, last week heard from them. They are eager to figure their stuff out and support us again. So we'll see. Nice guys. Is it fair to say that Ethereum and Polkadot have different priorities? If yes, how would you define those priorities?
Yes, ETH and
pass on
Polkadot. Yeah, so I think the reason that you question whether or not they have different priorities, so they're different coins and different chains. I mean, as far as I think their priorities are relatively similar in getting a chain up and running that works. But yeah, it's one of those things you just have to see where adoption goes, and I don't think any of us know too much about Polkadot to really talk too much on the specifics of their philosophy, though.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we? Where did you learn to code? Are you going to hire developers in future months?
We actually just got that on the chat as well.
Oh, this one's from Clement.
Brenda?
All right. Well, I actually originally started coding in SQL or relational database design with the Department of Defense. And then I continued learning SAS, which is a statistical software that we use a lot with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then R, and then Solidity in JavaScript. And then
nice jump.
It's pretty much Google University for me, at least.
Yeah.
That's how I learned. It's just
School of Hard Knocks.
Google it and figure it out until I can make it work.
Yeah, I mean, same goes for me. I started with SAS as well, and then moved into Python. I think I did Code Academy for the first year for that, and then you just kind of try and pick a project. So my first Python build was in it was 2013 or something, and I built bots to trade crypto on different exchanges. So this was the original Coinbase exchange, or no, what was the first one? Oh man, was it BTCE? I believe it was a Ukrainian exchange that didn't require you to do any KYC AML, and they had you could connect your account via API and start trading, and yeah, so I built some bots doing that, and that was my first learn how to build a Python system, and that was fun. And then from there, so I definitely tried to fill in one of the things you missed. So Brenda and I are economists, and one of the things that we were maybe lacking whenever you talk about versus somebody with a formal master's in computer science is that there's just it's not even the more advanced stuff that you do, the machine learning applications or something. It's the basics, you learn the different sort mechanisms and how to code up little, just how computers work on the back end, and those were things where I went and did a few online courses for those. So I did a lot of those Stanford online courses just to try and fill in where I thought I was weak. But yeah, and then on the hiring, yeah, so we're really pushing the bounties now. We've been paying out a lot of them. You saw we worked with the Raid Guild guys. We're going to continue to work with them. We have some other developers who are starting to help us out too. So we're definitely doing it. As far as an official hire goes, we're open to doing an official hire, but we also like just kind of contract work too. You know, kind of, we want it to be decentralized. We don't want to grow a gigantic head as far as the company goes. We'd rather keep it as sort of decentralized as you possibly can and get as many people kind of building on it and know how to build it at the same time, and really just push it out that way rather than have a bunch of liabilities in case our token price falls by 30, 50, 60%, and then you have to lay people off. So
does liquidity mining get around regulations? It's basically an incentivized airdrop, right?
I don't know if you can say that. Brenda, do you have any thoughts?
Liquidity mining? Is that
So
like just
liquidity mining, I think this is, so Hummingbot, I think coined the term. I don't remember who coined it. The idea is you put your money with these services, and then they provide liquidity on like Uniswap or on different exchanges, and you get paid a fee for providing liquidity.
like a loan?
Sort of. Yeah, you're like basically loaning a market maker money. You get paid a fee to do that. I don't know what regulation that would be around, but I think the big problem is most people who are partaking in this think that this is a risk-free practice. If you're actually doing liquidity mining or you're actually playing a market maker, there is no such thing as a free return. And I would recommend that everyone in crypto who thinks you're getting a free return on your money, you are not getting a free return. There's a whole bunch of risk involved. So yeah, just be careful out there, whether you're liquidity mining, yield farming, or whatever else is the new hot phrase for getting a return on your investment. It's almost all of them are either inflationary rewards or some sort of fee you get, and trust me, it's not free. These returns all have risks. So
how do you feel about the recent PayPal news? So yesterday, I think it was, CoinDesk put out some news that, I guess rumor has it seems like it was a rumor, that PayPal and Venmo are going to start allowing users to buy and sell crypto. I mean, it doesn't seem, I mean, my opinion is, well, that would be really great for the space, I think.
no.
Okay. I think, I mean, if it became easier for people to shoot Ethereum to each other to pay for gas fare, or funny, I just said gas fare. I meant taxi fare, but you could.
Wonder how they're gonna do it. Are they
Pay for
gonna be
gasoline.
holding everything?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I mean, like Venmo. So
Because
Venmo
they
holds a
make
bunch of
money.
Ethereum, and you pass it back and forth, and then they net out the transactions.
Yeah, but
That's probably what it's going to be like. So then you're using Venmo's app because Venmo's not going to pay on-chain transaction fees and give you an actual ETH wallet. You know what I mean? It's just they're going to hold it for you, and so it's basically like, don't use crypto. Like, crypto is meant to pay for taxi fares that way. You're supposed to be able to send it on your phone to each other. The fact that we can't do that means we're failing technology-wise to actually do anything or make something meaningful, like in that space. Like
well, it's like your Venmo account. You have Venmo money in your Venmo account, but you want to transfer it out of your bank, or you want to transfer it out of the Venmo wallet into your bank account. So you don't want to just have it on Venmo. I feel like the same thing would be if it was Ethereum. We would use it as your like petty cash, and then transfer it to your own custodial
like a Venmo
wallet.
side chain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it could be cool.
It could be cool in that it brings adoption, but I just hope that, this was always my fear with like Bitcoin and relying on a side chain too much. It's that, like basically like Coinbase could do something very similar where, transfers between Coinbase accounts are free and not on chain.
Sure.
And it's just completely centralized because Coinbase will listen to the regulator. So there's, what's the point? I don't know.
I think so long as you can put it on your own wallet from there, I think it would help the space.
Yeah, but as long as you can put it on your own wallet until the regulators say you can't put it on your own wallet and it goes to their wallet. I think that's the danger.
Spuddy says it's going to be big for buying and selling mining equipment on eBay. Maybe.
You hope
Because
so, right?
miners want to sell their... Okay, I get it. Speak of the devil. Next question is, when will there be an organized marketing function, even an arrangement where updates, successes, event attendance, biographies, and videos are stored in an organized way? It's important to have a library of material to keep investors and interested parties informed. I'm not sure what you have in mind. It sounds kind of like a blog or some sort of resource of stuff that we've been up to.
You're talking about a website.
Yeah, we have one of those.
Is he talking like a conference, a Tellor specific conference?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if we fully understand what you're getting at with this type of library of material. Yeah. I'll have to think on that, but if you want to DM us directly, maybe we could ask you some questions about what you're thinking. Next one is, other oracles are providing non-numeric data feeds. Is it a possibility that in future, Tellor can do the same? Does our design allow us to do so? Great question. Okay.
It's part of the future.
Yeah, I mean, we could. It wouldn't be too difficult, but I think you just got to look at where demand is. So it makes things more complex. So like obviously like this was one of the reasons we sort of did some design pieces differently than Augur, for instance. Like Augur can handle some different kinds of data or different kinds of truth, and kind of the more flexible or you can kind of handle any kind of data and any amount at any speed, and kind of the more flexible you make it, then you actually become slower and kind of less secure because it gets more complex. So we streamlined it to price feeds because we were originally building it for the derivatives, and then we saw that this is kind of what the space needs right now. So I think you could definitely do more. So we've looked at like one of our original ideas was for like a side chain you could pass back and forth like block headers and verify information on other chains, but the demand just really isn't there for that yet. It's one of those things that if we saw a whole lot of demand for these kind of things going off, like sure we could, but right now like the demand for oracles is basically like ETH US dollar and Bitcoin US dollar is probably like 99% of the demand for oracles currently in the space. So let's get those ones right, and then we can move from there.
So in short, yes, it is a possibility. Greetings from Finland, from Hillary. Thanks, Hillary. Next time, ask a question.
Who is Hillary? Isn't Alari in Finland?
Oh, that's right. I joked. One time I called him Hillary.
Oh,
because
so
I was asking him how to.
Hillary, yeah. There you go.
I was like, how do you pronounce that? Like Hillary?
Yeah. I was like, we know. There can't be more than 3 people in Finland. So
yes.
Is that the last
next.
Typing that from a spa in Finland.
Was that the last question?
Nope. The last one is, Facebook good for the world? No. Emphatically no.
Yeah, probably
I think it's terrible for the world.
Don't go on Facebook.
But I'm on it. That's why it's terrible. I can't get off of it.
Yeah. No, I deleted my account a long time ago.
I know. I'm so amazed by you liberated few.
Anyway. So thanks everyone for coming. This was the first call with all 3 of us. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned and definitely just reach out anytime in the chat. We're, in the chat, especially during times of really good times, it gets really clogged. So we don't necessarily read every message. So if you have a specific question for one of us, just do a little @ symbol and we'll be sure to respond to it. Especially don't feel offended. Bug us again in 5 hours or something if we don't respond to you. So Anyway, do we have any more?
We have one more question.
More question.
We can do, okay, where do you see yourselves in 2 years' time?
Partners, users, etc.
2 years is very far away. Just to think about like how much crypto has changed in 2 years.
2 years ago, that was like you came on
Yeah.
2 years ago.
It was a different company then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is in the extended future is to be, you know, a main source of data on Ethereum, like the source of off-chain data.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in 2 years, what would be successful for me is we would have a few really successful lending protocols, derivatives projects, and a stablecoin or two.
Been using us for
using
a year solid,
Tellor
you know?
data, and you know, it's not that we're going to be the only oracle. There might be other pieces there, but people have built these things. These are important fundamentals of the space, and Tellor is sort of securing them. Tellor is very decentralized, so we have a very robust token distribution, voting process. You know, even as far as like faster, I don't even necessarily know if we'd be much faster. I think just, you know, the technology is more robust, and really just a lot of the people who are using us are more successful, and people, you know, I'd love to be similar to like how you think about like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or even like a Monero or something like that. Like if this is the decentralized option. So, you know, if somebody was trying to say like, oh, I'm going to go use Chainlink, or I'm going to use I'm just going to use a centralized oracle, people would just be like, what? Why don't you use Tellor? Like, you know, this is the choice. This is what you do in the space. If you're a serious project, you know, similar to like how projects would, like if you were going to build a dApp, it's like, if you picked anything but Ethereum, people would be like, what are you, like, why? Like, is this some sort of marketing ploy? That's where I'd love to be. Maybe not in 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, but that kind of standard. So,
and I think I would hope, just to add, I would hope that, you know, especially you two at least, are respected individuals in the space. Because I mean, if you've been in the space for 2 years already, you've been around for a while, let alone 4 years or even longer. And so hopefully by then, you know, we have much greater influence and credibility in the space after 2 years, and you know, really be a part of the what am I going to say? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, a lot can happen in 2 years, and you know, we'll see. Stay along for the ride.
So, all right. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.